Have you ever wondered how a certain style suddenly becomes the style? Well, today we're doing more than just looking at a trend. We're going to pull back the curtain on how trends are actually born. We're going to take apart a professional trend guide, piece by piece, to really understand the future of style. Let's get into it.
Okay, so picture this. You're planning a wedding, but it's not for next month. It's for 2 years from now. The number one question you probably have is, how in the world do you pick a style today that isn't going to feel totally dated by the time the big day actually gets here? It's a real fear, right? Making a choice you'll later regret.
And that's exactly where trend guides come in. Now, these aren't just fashion magazines. Think of them more like professional forecasts, kind of like expert maps that are designed to help you navigate the future of style. They give you a framework, a sense of direction when you're facing, a million different options. So for this explainer, we're using this guide as our case study, the Silverzz 2026 Festive Wedding Jewelry Guide. Just these few words, 2026, festive, silver, they're packed with so much information, and we are going to break down what every single one of them tells us about what's coming next.
All right, here's our game plan. First, we'll dig into that challenge of planning for the future. Then we're going to decode the 3 key parts of that title, what 2026 really means, why they picked silver, and what on earth festive is all about. And finally, we'll pull it all together so you can see how to use these ideas for your own style.
So let's start with the big problem here. It's this, anxiety really, of making a huge decision for a future version of yourself. You want something that feels personal and unique, but also timeless, and that is a ton of pressure when you're planning years ahead.
And this is exactly the problem a trend report is built to solve. It is not a shopping list telling you what to buy. It's more of a synthesis of everything happening around us, in culture, art, technology, and it's all boiled down into one clear vision of what's next.
So you should think of this Silverzz guide less as a set of rules and more like a lens to see through. I mean, in a world that is just flooded with microtrends and endless scrolling on social media, a guide like this just cuts right through all that noise. It offers a really clear, well-thought-out perspective to help anchor your decisions. Which, of course, brings us to the most interesting question of all. How on earth does anybody know what's going to be in style 2 years from now? It honestly sounds a little bit like magic, but it's actually a super methodical process. See, this is what I love, because it totally demystifies it. Trend forecasting isn't about some crystal ball. It's a real, structured process. Forecasters are looking at cultural shifts, they're monitoring new materials and technologies, they watch what the most cutting-edge creators are doing, and then they pull it all together with themes from the big fashion runways. It's definitely more science than seance. Okay, so let's move on to the next word in our guide's title, silver. Why silver? Out of all the metals, gold, platinum, you name it, why focus on this one? Well, the choice of material is never random. It is a huge clue about the entire mood they're predicting.
And this just lays it out so clearly. Gold makes you think of tradition, warmth, heritage. But silver? Silver feels sleek, modern, even a little futuristic. It taps into these bigger cultural shifts, this move towards cleaner, more minimalist looks, and our fascination with technology. So by picking silver, the guide is making a powerful statement. 2026 is about a clean, contemporary, tech-influenced style.
So, here's the bottom line. Silver is being framed as the perfect canvas for the kind of artistry this guide is forecasting. It's versatile enough for super simple or really complex designs. And it has this cool, understated elegance that just feels very right now. The metal itself is the message.
Okay, so we've got a modern, silver aesthetic for 2026. But what about that last word from the guide, festive? What does that actually mean here? Because it's probably not what you're thinking.
So in this forecast, festive isn't just code for sparkly. It's all about intentional, artful expression. We're talking about intricate details, really thoughtful gemstone choices, modern symbols. It's about creating a celebratory feeling through things like layering pieces, mixing different textures, and choosing these beautiful, sculptural, art-inspired shapes. So now that we've taken apart the title of the guide, the big question is how you actually use all this information. This is where the power really shifts back to you.
And this, right here, is probably the most important thing to remember. A guide like this is not a rule book. It's a toolbox. It gives you a language, a framework to play with. You can take an idea like sculptural silver and run with it in a way that feels completely and totally you.
I think this quote from Antoine de Saint-Exupéry just nails it. The real purpose of a trend guide isn't to lock in one single version of the future. The real goal is to give you the tools and ideas that enable you to create your own stylish, personal future.
So these guides offer us a glimpse, a kind of map to the aesthetic world of tomorrow. They're pointing towards sleek silver, artful details, and modern ways to celebrate. But the real question, the one that really matters in the end, is how are you going to take these ideas and make them uniquely, unmistakably your own?